In the vibrant city of Kway, where the aroma of spices mingled with the sound of engines and the pulsating rhythm of African music, lived Olufemi, a 32-year-old man whose life seemed to be the envy of everyone. From the outside, his existence was perfect: a successful job in finance, a luxurious apartment with a view of the city, and an elite social circle. However, behind this facade of success, Olufemi hid a secret that tormented him day and night, an insatiable sexual desire that threatened to consume him. Every night, Olufemi roamed the streets of Kway, seeking to satisfy his most basic impulses in the arms of unknown women. His friends constantly advised him to settle down, find a good woman, and start a family, but Olufemi ignored them. Deep down, he harbored an almost impossible desire to marry a virgin, something that in the cosmopolitan city of Kway seemed as unlikely as finding an oasis in the middle of the desert. Hundreds of kilometers away, in the small village of Soloi, two sisters struggled to survive in a world that seemed to have forgotten them. Asha, 26, and Nia, 24, were orphaned years ago, forced to fend for themselves in a hostile and unforgiving environment. Asha, the older sister, decided to sacrifice her dignity for their well-being, resorting to prostitution to put food on the table and a roof over their heads. Nia, on the other hand, clung desperately to her innocence and values. With an ethereal beauty that contrasted with the harshness of her surroundings, Nia dreamed of escaping Soloi and building a better future for her and her sister. Every night, while Asha went to the streets, Nia prayed for a miracle to free them from their situation. Fate, however, had other plans for the sisters. One night, Asha fell gravely ill, coughing up blood and burning with fever. Desperate and without money for medicine, she pressured Nia to take her place on the streets just for that night. "I can't do this, Asha," Nia pleaded, her eyes filled with tears. "There must be another way." Asha coughed violently before responding. "There is no other way, sister. If we don't get money for the medicine, I will die. Is that what you want?" With a broken heart and a heavy soul, Nia finally gave in. That night, with trembling hands and a churning stomach, she dressed in her sister's provocative clothes and went out into the streets of Soloi, praying that no one would recognize her. Meanwhile, in Kway, Olufemi was preparing for another night of relentless searching. He looked at himself in the mirror, adjusting his designer shirt and running his hand through his perfectly cut hair. "Tonight," he said to himself, "will be different." Fate, in its infinite wisdom and cruelty, decided that Olufemi and Nia's paths would cross that night. Olufemi, tired of Kway's nightlife scene, decided to travel to Soloi in search of new experiences. It was there, on a dimly lit corner, that he saw Nia for the first time. The innocence in Nia's eyes immediately caught Olufemi's attention. There was something different about her, something that contrasted with the other women he had met in his nights of debauchery. Unknowingly, Olufemi had found what he had unconsciously sought his entire life. "Hello," Olufemi said, approaching Nia. "What's your name?" Nia, trembling with fear and shame, could barely murmur her name. Olufemi, interpreting her shyness as part of the game, offered an exorbitant amount of money for her company that night. Nia, thinking of her sick sister and the medicine that could save her life, accepted with a knot in her throat. That night, in a luxurious hotel room, Olufemi discovered the truth about Nia. Her inexperience, her palpable fear, all pointed to a reality that Olufemi never expected to find. Nia was a virgin. Instead of stopping, Olufemi's desire intensified. There she was, in front of him, the dream he had been chasing for so long. What followed was a mixture of unbridled passion and overwhelming guilt. Olufemi, blinded by desire, took Nia's virginity, ignoring her silent tears and evident discomfort. When dawn came, Olufemi found himself alone in the room, with nothing but the memory of the previous night and a deep sense of shame. Nia, for her part, fled the hotel as soon as she had the chance. Clutching the money tightly in her hand, she ran back home, where Asha anxiously awaited her. "Did you get it?" Asha asked, her voice hoarse from illness. Nia, unable to speak, just nodded and handed the money to her sister. Then, without saying another word, she locked herself in the small bathroom of their house and cried. The days that followed were a whirlwind of emotions for both Olufemi and Nia. Olufemi, tormented by what he had done, began a frantic search throughout Soloi, determined to find the woman who had changed his life in a single night. Nia, on the other hand, struggled with the trauma of her experience, unable to share her pain even with her sister, who was slowly recovering thanks to the medicine bought with Olufemi's money. Asha, observing the change in her sister, began to suspect that something had happened that night. "Nia," she said one afternoon, "what really happened? You can tell me." Nia, unable to contain her pain any longer, broke down in her sister's arms and told her everything between sobs. Asha listened in silence, her face a mask of conflicting emotions. On one hand, she felt deep guilt for pushing her sister into that situation. On the other, a dark resentment began to grow in her heart. Why did Nia, the innocent, the pure, achieve in one night what she had not achieved in years of sacrifice? Meanwhile, Olufemi intensified his search. He hired private investigators, offered rewards, all in a desperate attempt to find Nia. His obsession led him to neglect his work and social life in Kway. His friends, worried about his erratic behavior, tried to intervene. "Olufemi," said his best friend Kwesi during dinner, "you need to stop this. You're destroying your life over a woman you don't even know." But Olufemi could not listen. In his mind, Nia had become the answer to all his problems, the cure for his uncontrollable desire. "You don't understand," he replied, his voice filled with emotion. "She's different. She's pure." Kwesi shook his head sadly. "My friend, I'm afraid you're chasing a ghost." What Olufemi did not know was that fate, once again, was working in mysterious ways. Asha, consumed by jealousy and resentment, began to plot a plan. If she could not have the life she believed she deserved, she would ensure that Nia would not have it either. One afternoon, while Nia was sleeping, Asha left the house with a mission. She had heard rumors about a rich man from the city looking for a young woman matching her sister's description. With a mix of cunning and desperation, Asha managed to locate Olufemi. "I know who you're looking for," Asha told Olufemi when they finally met. Olufemi, blinded by the desire to find Nia, accepted without hesitation. "Whatever it takes," he said, his eyes shining with a mix of hope and obsession. "I'll pay whatever it takes." Asha smiled, a smile that did not reach her eyes. "I don't want your money," she replied. "I want your life." Before Olufemi could react, Asha pulled a knife from her bag and stabbed him in the abdomen. The attack was quick and brutal, leaving Olufemi bleeding on the ground as Asha fled the scene. Fate, however, was not done playing its cards. A passerby found Olufemi and called an ambulance. As he fought for his life in the hospital, Nia, unaware of everything that had happened, began to emerge from her depression. "Asha," she said one morning, "I think it's time for us to try to change our lives. We could move to the city, look for honest jobs." Asha, tormented by the guilt of what she had done, could barely nod. "You're right, sister. It's time for a change." As the sisters made plans for the future, Olufemi slowly recovered in the hospital. The near-death experience changed something fundamental in him. He no longer felt consumed by the sexual desire that had tormented him for so long. Instead, he felt a deep need for redemption. When he was finally discharged, Olufemi made a decision. He would abandon his obsessive search for Nia and instead dedicate his life to helping others. He began working with charity organizations, using his wealth and connections to make a real difference in the lives of the less fortunate. Fate, however, had one last surprise in store. One day, While visiting a shelter for homeless women that he had helped found, Olufemi came face to face with Nia. The recognition was instant and overwhelming. Nia, who had come to the shelter seeking a new beginning with her sister, froze upon seeing Olufemi. For a moment, time seemed to stand still as they stared at each other, a whirlwind of emotions reflected in their eyes. "It's you," Olufemi whispered, his voice barely audible. Nia, trembling, nodded. "And you are the man I've been trying to forget." What followed was a long and painful conversation. Olufemi profusely apologized for his actions that night, explaining how that encounter had changed his life completely. Nia, in turn, shared her own journey of pain. "I can't change what happened," Olufemi said, his thighs full of sincere regret. "But if you give me the chance, I would like to try to make amends." Nia, after a long silence, replied, "It won't be easy. There's a lot of pain between us." "I know," Olufemi said, "but I'm willing to try if you are." As Nia and Olufemi began the difficult process of healing and building a relationship based on mutual respect and understanding, Asha watched from the shadows, consumed by guilt and remorse. One night, unable to bear the weight of her actions any longer, Asha confessed everything to Nia and Olufemi. She told them about her jealousy, her attempt at murder, everything. "I'm so sorry," Asha sobbed. "I will understand if you hate me." To her surprise, both Nia and Olufemi responded with compassion. "We don't hate you, Asha," Nia said, hugging her sister, "but you need help." Olufemi nodded. "We all make mistakes. What's important is how we choose to move forward." With Nia and Olufemi's support, Asha began therapy and slowly started to heal her own emotional wounds. Seeing forgiveness and compassion in action changed something fundamental in her, allowing her to finally let go of the resentment that had poisoned her heart for so long. As the months passed, the relationship between Nia and Olufemi slowly flourished. It was not an easy path. There were moments of doubt, fear, and pain. But with each obstacle overcome, their bond grew stronger. Olufemi discovered that true love was far more satisfying than the lust that had consumed him for so long. Nia, in turn, learned to trust again, to open her heart despite the pain of the past. A year after their reunion, on a quiet beach at sunset, Olufemi knelt before Nia. "You have changed my life in ways I never believed possible," he said, taking out a ring. "Will you do me the honor of marrying me?" Nia, with tears in her eyes, nodded. "Yes," she replied, her voice full of emotion. "Yes, I will marry you." The wedding was a celebration of love, forgiveness, and new beginnings. Asha, now in a much better emotional place, was her sister's maid of honor. Friends and family gathered to celebrate the union of two souls who had found redemption and true love in the most unlikely circumstances. As Olufemi and Nia exchanged vows, many of the guests couldn't help but shed tears. Their story of how they met, parted, and finally reunited was a testament to the power of forgiveness and perseverance. "I promise to love and respect you every day of my life," Olufemi said, his voice trembling with emotion. "You were my salvation, my light in the darkness. With you, I learned the true meaning of love." Nia, her eyes shining with tears, responded, "And I promise to stand by your side in good times and bad. Together we have overcome so much. Our love is proof that even from the darkest beginnings, something beautiful can emerge." After the ceremony, during the reception, Asha approached the newlyweds. With a champagne glass in her hand, she proposed a toast. "To my sister and her husband," she began, her voice laden with emotion. "Your story is a reminder that true love can overcome any obstacle. You taught me the power of forgiveness and compassion. I wish you a life full of happiness and love." The guests raised their glasses, moved by Asha's words and the evident happiness of the couple. The party continued late into the night, full of music, dancing, and laughter. In the years that followed, Olufemi and Nia built a life together based on love, mutual respect, and understanding. Olufemi continued his philanthropic work, now with Nia by his side as a partner and constant support. Together, Nia, inspired by her own experience, decided to study psychology and specialize in therapy for trauma survivors. Her kindness and empathy made her a highly sought-after therapist, able to connect with her patients uniquely due to her own story of overcoming. Asha, in turn, found her calling working at the shelter for women that Olufemi had founded. Her personal experience made her an invaluable mentor for women seeking to escape situations of abuse and exploitation. Over time, Asha even began giving talks at schools and universities, sharing her story as a warning and a source of hope. 3 years after the wedding, Olufemi and Nia received news that would change their lives forever. They were expecting their first child. The pregnancy was a time of immense joy and anticipation for the couple. "Do you think we'll be good parents?" Nia asked one night, as Olufemi gently caressed her growing belly. Olufemi smiled, kissing his wife's forehead gently. "We will be the best parents we can be. Our child will grow up surrounded by love and understanding. We will teach them the value of forgiveness and the importance of treating everyone with respect and dignity." When their daughter, whom they named Amara, meaning grace in Igbo, was born, it was as if a new chapter had opened in their lives. Olufemi, who had once been consumed by selfish desires, now found his greatest joy in the small moments with his family. Amara's first smiles, her first steps, her first words. Nia, watching Olufemi play with their daughter, often reflected on the incredible journey that had brought them to this point. "Did you ever imagine we would end up like this?" she asked one afternoon as they watched Amara run through the garden. Olufemi shook his head, a gentle smile on his lips. "Never. But I am eternally grateful for every step that brought us here, even the painful ones. They made us who we are today." As Amara grew, Olufemi and Nia made sure to instill in her the values they had learned through their own experiences, the importance of honesty, compassion, and forgiveness. They taught her that everyone has a story and that it is important not to judge others without knowing their struggles. Asha, who had become a loving and dedicated aunt, spent a lot of time with the little family. Seeing her sister's happiness and Olufemi's transformation was a constant reminder of how love and forgiveness can change lives. One day, while celebrating Amara's 5th birthday, Asha approached Olufemi and Nia. "I want to thank you," she said, tears in her eyes, for giving me a second chance. Seeing you so happy, seeing Amara grow up, it's the best gift I could have asked for." Nia hugged her sister tightly. "We are a family," she said simply, "and families forgive and support each other." Olufemi nodded, joining the embrace. "We all deserve a second chance. You gave me one. Nia gave me one. It was only fair that we give you one too." As they watched Amara blow out the candles on her birthday cake, surrounded by friends and family, Olufemi and Nia exchanged a look of deep love and gratitude. Their journey had been long and often painful, but it had led them to this moment of pure happiness. That night, after all the guests had left and Amara was sound asleep, Olufemi and Nia sat on the porch of their house, looking up at the stars. "You know," Olufemi said, holding his wife's hand, "sometimes I think of that Olufemi from years ago, the man who was so lost and alone. I wish I could tell him that everything would be okay, that he would find true love and the peace he so desperately wanted." Nia rested her head on her husband's shoulder. "And I wish I could tell that scared and hurt Nia that the pain wouldn't last forever, that she would find the strength to forgive and love again. I suppose that's the beauty of life. Olufemi reflected. We never know what the future holds, but if we keep our hearts open to love and forgiveness, we can overcome any obstacle. Nia nodded, closing her eyes and enjoying the peace of the moment. And now we have the responsibility to pass these lessons on to Amara, to teach her that true love exists, that forgiveness is possible, and that there is always hope, even in the darkest moments. As the night wore on, Olufemi and Nia remained sitting in silence, grateful for the path they had traveled and excited about what the future held for them. Their story, with all its highs and lows, was a testament to the transformative power of love and forgiveness. And so, on a quiet night in Kway, a family forged through adversity and united by love rested in peace, knowing that together they could face any challenge that life presented to them. This story reminds us that even from the most improbable and painful beginnings, something beautiful and lasting can emerge. It teaches us that forgiveness, both for others and for ourselves, is a powerful catalyst for change and growth. It demonstrates that true love is not about perfection, but about acceptance, understanding, and the willingness to grow together. Olufemi's transformation, from a man consumed by selfish desires to a loving husband and father, shows us that change is possible when we are willing to confront our demons and work on ourselves. Naya's ability to overcome her trauma and open her heart again is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. And Asha's journey, from jealousy and resentment to forgiveness and redemption, reminds us that it is never too late to change and do what is right. Ultimately, this story invites us to reflect on our own lives and relationships. It encourages us to practice compassion, give second chances, and believe in the transformative power of true love. It reminds us that we all make mistakes, but it is our subsequent actions that truly define who we are. May this story serve as a reminder that, no matter how dark the present may seem, there is always hope for a brighter future if we are willing to forgive, love, and grow. Don't forget to like this story if you enjoyed it, and share it with friends and family who might find it inspiring. Subscribe to our channel so you don't miss future heartwarming stories like this one.